I think like learning how to set the boundaries between having higher standards and being a perfectionist, and like how you bring those into a relationship is like so crucial and so important.
Right. How do you differentiate high standards and perfectionism then?
I have high standards.
So let me guess, hold on. You also think that having high standards is preferable to being a perfectionist.
Correct.
And you would say you have high standards while I'm a perfectionist.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome back to this week's podcast where we're talking about perfectionism in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. High standards.
High standards. And I kid you not, I think I am the one who have high standards.
And I think we both have high standards, quite frankly. I think
Yeah.
you have pretty high standards. If anybody's looking at this right now and they're looking at you and they're looking at me and we said, who has higher standards? People would definitely assume I have the higher standards.
Wait, explain that.
Well, because you have, if you had higher standards, I'm just trying to be mean to myself. I'm saying, look at you. Obviously, I have very high standards because I'm with you. You clearly have lower standards because look where you're with.
Dude, don't insult me. Like, I have very good high standards. Look at this face and look at this man. Like,
that's very sweet.
Yeah, let's go back to our podcast.
We were working on Facebook ads for your business the other day for Ecodunia. And you were like, oh, I've got this laid out. Will you come check? And you probably think I'm a perfectionist because I sit there and I'll move things 2-3 pixels to one side, 2-3 pixels back, make it 2-3 pixels bigger, 2-3 pixels smaller, kind of like getting it so that it's just right. Is that one of the things that when you look at it, you say Matthew's being a perfectionist?
No, I think like when I look at that, I'm just like, Matthew is going to notice things I would probably not notice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I count when it comes to business is like for me, like when I'm doing like the creative, because I'm not a creative. So, and you are, you know, so I do the work and then I'm just like, before I send it out, I'm like, Matthew, can you have a look at this? You know, because I know that you are going to notice something that I may have missed. Not something that I will definitely have missed.
Right. Let's go on the other side because that's one business thing. The other
Okay.
thing is, say we're doing keyword research for one of our businesses to make sure that we're ranking or whatever, right? That is like I would do something and you will spend 3 or 4 times the time and you will have way better data than I will have. Right?
Yeah, just because I like doing research. Like first of all, it's like, for you, it's just like, oh my God, I don't want to be doing this.
Right.
And for me, it's like, oh my God, I love doing this, you know, so.
So, right. But I think that's kind of this thing that I'm looking at that I'm kind of questioning when it comes to this issue of perfectionism. You can say I'm lazy or sloppy with keyword research. And I could say, oh, you're just being a perfectionist about it.
Actually, that's.
And the other way around.
No,
like, we've never had that argument.
We've
but I
never
think
had, and I don't think like, I think I look at it like, it's just not something that you enjoy doing. And it doesn't mean like I'm starting to enjoy doing the creative for my Facebook ads and for my social media, for my business. But I think you have an eye and you look at things from a lens that I don't have, you know? And I almost think that it's cultural in like, or like there isn't even like some like educational differences that and our upbringing that brings that, you know, because for me, I say good is good enough.
Yep.
For you, it's like, it's good. It has to be, and not everything. Like I'm talking in terms of creative stuff is like, for you, it's like good is not good enough. It's, can it be better? You know, and I count on that, you know.
And I think that becomes important because when I look out and I see also sort of outside of myself, outside of our relationship, you see that there are some areas where people excel. Like what is the difference between, say, the commercial director who does little local spots for car commercials or for car dealerships and somebody who is, you know, directing $4 million BMW commercials, right? So you could say as these two people are developing in their craft, one you could say is a perfectionist. You can also say that by really looking to continually improve, one person is now doing little kind of dinky commercials for the local dealership, while someone else is flying to China and doing something that's sort of artistically exciting. And kind of bring that then into a relationship or the things kind of around the house. I think that those become an interesting question to go into, because I know a lot of times people can really feel like I'm being controlled. You want it to be done a certain way. And where are the values? So therefore, I'm having a hard time really coming up with a specific example within our relationship where we've ever had challenges around it, because I don't think we've had many challenges around it.
I don't think we've had challenges with it. And I see why you're struggling with the word perfectionism. It's just because it's almost kind of negative. But when you start to look at it like, this is like something that I'm good at. And so therefore I have high standards and I want it to be as perfect as it can get.
Because I want to be able to take pride in it, whether it is cleaning or whether it's like folding clothes or whether it's making a repair around the house or whether it's even writing an email or in cooking a meal, all of these things. Like I actually, it's something that I have in general. I don't want to spend time on something that I can't take pride in, which means I want to do it to the best I can. And my brother once said to me a long time ago, he thought the reason why I didn't play guitar is because I didn't like spending time doing things I suck at. And I really examined that. And at the end of the day, after he said that, I was like, that's not true. And then I went and spent like the next 2 years and just played guitar almost every day and got a whole lot better at it. And I did suck at it. And I haven't played really in 7 years. And so I suck again. There is something in that nobody actually likes spending a lot of time doing something they're not good at.
No.
Unless you just take so much joy in it and you can just be happy in the doing. I just love sewing. I love drawing, and I'm a terrible artist, but it's just so much fun for me. I mean, I love playing, like I really enjoy playing basketball with my friends, and I'm a bad basketball player, but I can still go out and enjoy doing that.
I think I'm learning that because I really like the work that I do. But when it comes to like the work that I do is like, I want to bring the best, of African products to the United States. And that is like finding the best. And that part I really enjoy because I really enjoy finding and doing research about like what people are making. But then when it comes to the marketplace, I'm just like, I don't want to do the marketing, But I've just come to be like, I can't afford to hire a marketer right now. So I'm just going to also enjoy the part about marketing. It doesn't come easy, but every day I'm like, I love what I'm doing. So it's also almost like self-affirmation of like, I suck at this and I can get better. And I have to say, it's like, I don't suck at marketing today as I sucked 7 months ago.
Right. And I think that's where, if you could say you're certainly not a perfectionist, but you also want to continue improving. And I think in a relationship, one of the things is kind of to be careful is that we're actually supporting each other, and that as much as you are an autonomous being and I am autonomous from you, we also act and function in the world, as a team. And we act within our relationship as a team. And you see these things very often, particularly, these like wonder teams get thrown together in professional sports. And sure, they'll win championships. LeBron won a championship in Miami, but they also had to go and lose first. They couldn't be very good yet because you can't just be a group of individuals who are individually great and not be able to work well together. And it's the same thing in a relationship. Like there are always these like ragtag teams, like the Patriots from like 20 years ago, or the San Francisco Giants, where you have it's kind of like ragtag teams that come together and manage to win consistently. And no one is a huge star. Everyone just shows up and really does their best and tries to improve. And I think in a relationship, for us, it's the same thing, is that, I'm not a relationship master. I'm not a czar. I'm not like Sarah Whisperer necessarily. Or maybe I am. But I'm going to show up and I want to be my best within this. And therefore, I have to be willing to make mistakes so that I can learn from my mistakes and get better. Because if I'm not putting myself in all and willing to make mistakes, I'm not going to get better. You have to be willing to let me make a mistake in a relationship, and vice versa. And there are both times where you might speak to me in ways that I don't like being spoken to, or I might, have sort of like expectations or get into a cranky mood when you don't do something in a certain way. Or you brought up the other day, like if I tend to get up earlier than you do. And so I might be like, hey, like, when are you going to get up or whatever? And that I don't need you to be a part of when I'm going to get up. If I get up an hour late and I had something to do and I didn't do it, that's on me. It's not on you. And I can say, okay, well, yeah, but your business impacts me, and we have to be autonomous, right? You have to be able to make the mistakes in your own business. And I can't use also that as an excuse to not be great in a relationship and say, you might be falling short here, but that's on you. I can point it out kindly and then let you make whatever mistakes you need to make. And it goes the other way around too.
Yeah.
So perfectionism and simply high standards and improving how we are in our relationship and in our lives, I think can become a balancing act that I know for sure I fail at time and time again.
Yeah.
But I think it's also an important balancing act to work with and be willing to fall and make mistakes so that, we can actually continue to improve, but not necessarily get to the point where we're controlling.
Correct. Yeah. And I think learning how to set the boundaries between having higher standards and being a perfectionist, and how you bring those into a relationship is so crucial and so important.
Right. Because I want you to be there to help me be a better person, but I also need to be able to make mistakes and I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to be,
And also it's sometimes as you say, letting the other do the mistakes, even when you know that they're doing a mistake, so that they can learn from it and become better at it.
Yeah. And I think that kind of just going back and tying up to when you talked about driving in Kenya, there was this time where it was raining really hard and it was dark and the windshield wipers weren't working great, or the lights weren't that bright. And I thought, in some ways I should be driving because I just have so much more experience as a driver. And then you said, how am I ever going to get better if I don't do this? And I just had to sit there in the passenger seat. And I actually closed my eyes for a while and I had to say,
God,
what?
It was so scary.
But I had to be like, what? If you wreck this car and we have to pay for the car and whenever we go to the hospital or God knows what happens, I have to be totally okay with that. You have to have the ability to make a mistake and I have to be okay with that fully.
But some people can look at that and be like, also that is do you think you're putting your life in danger?
I might have been, but that's got to be okay because when it's raining that hard and it's that dark, your life's in danger every time you get in a car. It's one of the most dangerous things we do in life is get in a car and drive somewhere. So yeah, it could be, but at some point I put someone in danger when my first dangerous car drive was driving in a blizzard in a little Dodge Colt from Reno, Nevada back to the Bay Area. It was crazy. It was so dangerous.
Yeah. And I would say the same thing is I've done not what you'd call quote unquote dangerous, but I've done things in my life based on the resources that I had no business doing, but it's that taking risk, it comes from actually I can afford to be a perfectionist around this. I can't afford to have very high standards towards this. I just gotta do it.
Right.
So sometimes it's knowing between when to just do it and having and knowing this is the time to put those high standards,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and feel free as always to share your thoughts. You can find us at theinterracialcouple.com, pretty much anywhere else on social media at The Interracial Couple. And make sure to subscribe, follow, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.